Want to welcome everyone to our new meeting time for the May 17th, 2022 board meeting. At this time, we have an agenda in front of us, and the first item on the agenda is to go into executive session for personnel and for student educational records. The agenda is approval will be after we return back from the executive session, according to the. So right now, the motion is just to go into executive session for personnel or student educational records. So moved by Ms. Morrissey, second by Ms. Adams. All in favor? We will go into executive session.
Come down. Joel Miller is their teacher. They are going to advance to the regional competition. They are state champions at the moment. And I have practiced these names, but I don't want to do it like I did the last one. So, Anish, will you please tell us who you are?
Anish Kerner.
Congratulations.
Pranav Marnani.
Nihal Amanani.
Darsh Patula.
Thank you. Congratulations to each of these young men. And again, Joel Miller is their teacher. Congratulations. Isn't all this impressive? It's just marvelous. What talent we have. The next announcement is another talented person, Chris Adams. Would Mr. Adams please come down? Jim and Nix is the sponsor for our Employee of the Month. And Mr. Adams, you guys stand here and listen while I talk about you, okay? Mr. Adams was hired in 2011 as a bus driver. He was promoted in 2021 to a district supervisor. And I have quite a few things that people said about him, so I'm going to hit a few highlights. Always going the extra mile to go above and beyond to keep his team successful. He has been unflappable throughout this year, his first year as a position in a district supervisor. He treats us drivers with dignity and respect. If a driver, parent, or staff needs anything, he is happy to help. Due to his strong personal qualities, it shows in his work ethics. Since I've been working for Chris, he has been such a pleasure to work for, and his professionalism speaks volumes. Chris is constantly connecting with drivers concerning their needs and supporting them however he can. He makes adjustments to bus routes to maximize efficiency and help reduce driver work and stress while maintaining safe conditions for students and drivers. By his actions, everyone knows that Chris is not just a leader of the team, but is also an individual contributor to the team. This year was certainly not the easiest of any of the supervisors, but for a first-year supervisor, I have to believe that the challenges were even greater. Having to deal with overcrowded buses due to changing bus loads, a driver shortage, route coverage, driving routes himself, all the while dealing with driver, parent, student, and school issues, and coming up to speed in a new position is no small feat. His confidence and warm-hearted personality really shine. His hard work is contagious. He simply makes you want to be a better person and driver for not only our kids, but our team. I can't think of anyone who is more deserving. Congratulations. And our superior spotlight tonight is Midway Elementary. Principal?
That's okay.
I want to thank the board for the opportunity to allow Midway to share a little bit about the work that we're currently doing. I am Daphne Rogers, the very proud principal of Midway.
The mic is on, Daphne, but
Yes.
you might need to speak into it
Oh,
more directly
thank you.
because
Yes,
they
sir.
can't hear you in the back. Okay,
Thank you, and I tend to be very soft-spoken, so thank you very much. As I was saying, thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you tonight on behalf of Midway Elementary. I am Daphne Rogers, the very proud principal of Midway, and I have several of our Mustang family members with me today. They're going to be helping share a little bit. First, we have Sarah LeBlanc, who is our instructional coach. We have our two counselors, Stacy Hodges and Dr. Jennifer Collins, our amazing assistant principals, Tennille Walsh, Jennifer Brown, our amazing media specialist teacher, as he refers to himself, Greg Orr, and one of our amazing fifth graders, Nisha Sangani. Okay. This school year marks Midway's 60th anniversary, and this past weekend we had the opportunity to celebrate both Mustangs past and present. And you know, when we think about the 60th anniversary, we think about the diamond anniversary and that diamond gemstone and the strength it symbolizes and the ability to withstand all the elements. So when we think about 60 years, we think about what is it that makes Midway such a special place. And it is truly, what is it that has sustained us for 60 years? And it's heart. And you'll see on the screen, we've symbolized the heart there. What we're going to be sharing tonight is how we truly try to leverage relationships amongst the community, with our families, among our staff, as well as with our students in order to ensure their success, both academically and socially and emotionally. This quote truly reflects the way we approach the work that we do at Midway with both our adult learners and especially with our student learners. A love of learning has a lot to do with learning that we're loved.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this great opportunity. As you can see on the screen, these are 3 core beliefs that we established at Midway, which all goes back to the heart with trust, significance, and belonging. And we developed these core beliefs at our leadership retreat last summer, where we participated with our colleague principal Tracy Smith from Brookwood. And we were learning how to be what she calls a ridiculously amazing school. And we were so fortunate to have her leadership as all of our leaders in our building gathered together with her. And these were the 3 common themes that stuck out to us that we use every day, whether it's with students or with staff, to continue to build our collaborative culture and community of heart with trust, significance, and belonging. So whether it's at a staff meeting, whether it's during PLC, we kickstart all of our collaborations together with these 3 core beliefs that really unite us at Midway.
Hello. My journey with Midway Elementary started as a parent. I was a parent for 3 years, and then I became a parapro, and I'm a product of the Forsyth County Valdosta Counselor Program, so I'm now a counselor at Midway. And when I looked up community and what community means to us, it is sharing the same attitudes, interests, and goals. And at Midway Elementary, we work to create positive relationships with our families through parent relationships, but also through our community partners. Some of those community partners are churches, our nonprofits, and our businesses right in our area, our radius. Some of the examples and some of these pictures show the smiling faces at Midway. Some of the events include our vertical team. Our Denmark vertical team creates a K-12 continuum that helps these students, these families, these teachers introduce our whole network of schools, starting with elementary, middle, and kindergarten. And I am working with kindergarten and high school. We also have PTO events, and at these PTO events, we work to celebrate who we are. We have our International Fest. We have our Fall Festival. We have different mom and son events, father and daughter events. We cheer each other on in a race that takes place at Denmark. So we use the facility at Denmark as the same way we use our facility at Midway. We also have parent programs where we invite, thankfully now, parents into the school to host Watchdog Dads and Mustang Moms. We also have mystery readers that we want them to come in and take part of the classroom and help us teach our kids so that we partner together. We also work with community partners like I was mentioning. We do 2 food drives a year, one in the fall around Thanksgiving when all of us are talking about what we're eating. And then we also do one in the spring when time is about to get out for spring break. So we also have one around that time where we're concentrating on our win-win beliefs. But overall, we also bring in some of our community partners like the fire department. We receive backpack donations, snack donations, gift card donations. So we just have a very been given by our community partners very nice gifts that we share with our families to help them learn and grow. So overall, Midway Elementary creates a community where students and families feel loved and supported so that they are also safe to be able to learn and to grow into the sweet humans they are created to be.
Good evening. We asked parents to share what makes them proud to be part of our Midway Mustang family, and these were the words that stood out. The biggest word was love. The kids know we love them. They love coming to see us, the smiles. We're always giving hugs. We want them to feel part of the community, and the parents express that they see that. They feel that the kids and staff are also becoming part of their family. And we always say, once a Mustang, always a Mustang. And when you look at all the words that they kept saying about our school, you can see that they're invested in our school, and then we invest in their children in return. Good evening.
Our theme this year at Midway was reconnect, recharge, and reset. After 2 very challenging years, and with a new administration team this year, we felt that these things were important to focus on, not just with our staff, but with our community and students as well. As we ended last year, the staff expressed an overwhelming need to reconnect with others across the building. So we partnered with our PTO, and we welcomed them back on the first day by rolling out the red carpet. But we didn't stop there. We planned various team-building activities throughout the year, a scavenger hunt in our community, egg hunts, pumpkin carving, pottery, as well as much more. We created monthly calendars with dress-up themes and surprise and delights to try and bring joy. Reconnecting as a staff helped us build trust, significance, and belonging, as well as met their social-emotional needs. In order to help our staff and students recharge, we encouraged that work-life balance we all talked about, and we tried to practice it as well. Ashley Bear even came to Midway to work with our students and our staff on mindfulness as well as wellness.
Hello, everyone. As we began the reset piece of our journey this year, Midway poured into professional learning communities, or PLCs. Teachers worked side by side with coaches and administrators to gain as well as grow their knowledge and skills. As a school leadership team, our focus was to pour into our school leaders. Each month, we had a focus on lesson and leadership, led by district leaders including Derek Hershey, Amy Bartlett, and Leanne Rice. Relationships are powerful. Midway prides itself on growing and nurturing them, not only between staff members, but also with our students and community. Our teachers and students have rich and meaningful experiences through conferring. Our students participate in academic student-led conferences a minimum of 2 times per year. These conferences help to bridge and nurture the school and home relationship. Professional learning opportunities have also helped reset as well as widen our focus. Our staff has had the opportunity to collaborate on numerous occasions with district professionals including Brian Lack, Lainey DeLallo, and Courtney Bean. Our school's work with Tracy Smith and her book, The Ridiculously Amazing Schools, has aided in our work toward building trust, significance, and belonging. What an amazing year it has been and continues to be. As you can see, our staff was asked for one word to describe Midway. Family is to spoke out. It's the biggest one because we are a family. We are a home.
I have the honor of talking about our students here at Midway. And I don't think I was picked to do this by accident because I was a Midway student. I grew up in the Midway community and I've taught there for 20 plus years. I'm amazed every morning when the buses unload and the cars arrive that our school has every face, every faith, every culture, every language, almost all of those in the world in our little building that I grew up in, and that amazes me every day. I never get over that. So the one commonality that our kids have is that they get it, and the it is that love, that heart piece that they experience at Midway every day, and they are certainly a part of that. We don't create that, our families do, and we just kind of move it along and help it grow. I think the biggest evidence of that is we're all, I guess, anticipating the last day of school coming up next week and our kids are too. They're very excited. They're very excited about the end of the school year. But when that day comes, you will see not only our fifth graders who are leaving for good, but our other students, our kindergartners and first graders who realize that they're going to be without us for 8 weeks, and that there'll be tears in their eyes that day too. It never fails. It's been the same for 25 years. I wanted to share this slide with you. We met with a group of students last week who are going to be our student leaders next year. And we asked them the same thing we asked our parents and our staff, to share one word that is used to describe Midway. Now, they didn't do it online, so we don't have a Wordle, but they told us, and unprompted, uncoached, these are the words they came up with. So they get it. They understand. I have the distinct pleasure now of introducing Nisha to you. Come on up, Nisha. Nisha is the oratorical contest winner for Forsyth County this year, and she's going to share about Midway. You decide.
And I am honored to be representing my school, Midway Elementary, today. Midway is not just a school.
Maybe move the mic just a little bit closer because I think they're trying to keep that,
Would you mind even holding it? Because it might.
I do kind of move around, so it might be hard.
Do you want to maybe sing?
She might.
Get on her chain.
Move it down just a little bit more. There you
Does
go.
it turn? Oh,
There you go.
All right.
Perfect.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nisha Sangani, and I am honored to be representing my school, Midway Elementary, today. Midway is not just a school for me. It is one of the best chapters of my life. And you may ask why. Because Midway not only helped me earn my medal for my speech, but to me, it's the little things that matter. Like my teacher bringing me a bouquet of flowers for mine. That was more than a medal. Midway is the best not only because my oratorical trainer practiced with me for countless hours, but it's the little things that matter, like his presence at my competition a late evening on a weekday. Midway is the best, not only because our administrators act like mother figures towards us. I mean, they dress up in funny outfits, play games with us, and tell us stories. But again, it's the little things that matter. Like them standing out in car line every morning to greet students with a big smile, whether it's freezing cold or raining. And last but not least, Midway is the best, not only because they teach us math and reading to make us better students, but you guessed it, it's the little things that matter. Like them teaching us the 7 habits of successful people to make us better citizens, better human beings. And ladies and gentlemen, that is why Midway is one of the best chapters of my life. Thank you.
That's it? That's a wonderful presentation, and we can just feel the warmth that you guys provide just by your presentation tonight. And so thank you very much for what you do at Midway. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, the K through 12, the vertical teams, how that is just connected, and I think even district-wide, I just love seeing that. I mean, when I went to, we had a handful of elementary, and then we had 2 middle schools, and then 1 high school, so to be able to kind of see that path and kind of make your larger schools seem small is awesome. And having, certain teams come in and do the morning greeting with getting out of the car line, I think is awesome. But it seems like, everything that you're doing is so natural because what you're doing is just loving each other well, and when you talked about, these are your goals and stuff, but you're really practicing what you preach. You're emulating that, and you're doing it because, it's what works. And so the students are able to see that and take that. And I absolutely love your focus. I think way too often we're looking at big moments, right? Like, oh, I accomplished this and I accomplished this and all this stuff. But you're right. It is those little moments where those are the greatest gifts because those are sometimes the most genuine, right? The most freely given. So thank you. That was awesome. I might need some help one day. You could be my coach. So.
Yeah, and serving in this district for 18 years now, I'm well aware of the Midway history. We've lived it together. We've been through sad times. We've been through happy times. We've been through changes. We've been Highway 9 encroaching on the school and about to take it over. So we were well aware of that history and figured out that way to keep it alive as we move forward. Congratulations.
Shall I just say, I follow Greg on Facebook, so I know all about Midway, and he loves it, and that is so cool to see how much he loves it, which I know his heart's there because he went to school there. And I always keep up with you, and I heard that I didn't get to go, I was out of town, but I heard last weekend was awesome. I've heard from 2 different people, so congratulations on a job well done for 60 years.
Very good.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We'll take a brief recess. All right, we're going to go ahead and continue with our meeting. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Has everyone had time to review the consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? So moved by Mr. Cleveland. Second by Ms. Light. All in favor? Consent agenda is approved. The next item on the list is our presentation and discussion items with the financial report by Larry Hamill. Right?
Yeah, you're in trouble.
I am in trouble. You gonna move around too?
If that will make me look better, yes. But unfortunately, I'm not as cute and as lovable as that was, so She won, yes. I'm always just give it up. So tonight, we are going to discuss the April 2022 financial statements. If I can get them up. Can you hear me? Okay. There we go. So tonight, I'm going to present the April 2022 financial statements. There we go. As always, we keep goal 3 in mind. So for the month of April, we started the month off with $165.5 million. This was a month that we paid out the bonus money or the supplement money the governor gave us. We paid it out this month. So you'll notice that the cash disbursements are a little higher than usual, as well as the cash receipts, because the money came to us this month as well. But we did end the month with about $149 million in cash. The year-to-date budget report, right now for revenue, we are at a 92.65% collection rate. This time last year, we're 92.21%, we're slightly ahead. We've already collected 100% of our ad valorem taxes, which is a good thing. So we're definitely at a 99+% collection rate for that. On the expense side, we spent almost $436 million. We're at 84.13%. We are ahead of last year's in terms of spend. But then last year also, we had some CARE Act money that we had about this time of the year that we had downloaded, and that skews the numbers a little bit. Debt service analysis. So we collected our last money for SPLOST 5. So you can see there that $56.6 million, that is what we have going forward for all the remaining project stuff we have. We're done collecting. We should see SPLOST 6 money come up next month for the month of May for the first month of collections. Once we get that first amount for that first month, we'll start updating our cash flow analysis for SPLOST 6 projects to keep track of the money coming in versus the projects we have planned, and we'll add a SPLOST 6 column to this as well. As you can see, we have $107.6 million collected for all the activity. This time last year was about $84 million. Special revenue funds, they're on track where they need to be. A lot of the money for these activities really doesn't get spent until the summer, until the next fall, because you know the federal funds are offset by our funds by 3 months. Their ending date is September 30th. The capital projects, currently we've got about $34 million in cash in our capital projects. As you can see here, we've only spent about $2.8 million. We transferred that money in from the SPLOST 5 accounts or SPLOST 4 accounts to offset it. We are getting towards the tail end of our 2018-2020 money. It should be, majority of that should be spent by the end of next year, the 23, and it'll be all gone. All we will have left then will be what SPLOST 5 money we have and what SPLOST 6 money we have collected. School nutrition's fund balance, as you can see, the money came in dramatically large because we're still under the free reduced 100% rate versus what we expensed. We'll have one more month of activity on there, and we predict that fund balance should be closer to $15 million. On our investments, currently you can see that we're at $146.6 million investments. This time last year, we're about $206 million. You can see we've drawn down quite a few dollars there to pay things off. And the balance, just to give you an idea how the balances have changed, if you look at the 306 fund, which is the 2018-20 bonds, it's only about $3 million. This time last year it was 63. So you can see we spent that money down pretty well, which we should have because of the plan set up. So if you look here, our total collections year to date, for the total collections of SPLOST 5 has been $213 million versus the previous year of 194 at this time. We collected an average of $3.7 million. The last 12 months have been 4.6. This time a year ago, it was about 3.5. So on average, we collected about 238,000 more on average, and for the last 12 months, we're collecting almost $1.1 million more than average for the last 5. The elementary schools, the activity for receipts and disbursements are normal. The cash balance is about $4.7 million. This time last year was about 4.1. Receipts and disbursements for middle schools and high schools is normal. Middle schools right now have about $1.9 million in cash. Last year was about 1.4. High schools had about $5 million last year versus 5.8 now. The balance of the cash balance at the schools hasn't changed much from this time last year. Last year, high schools were about 48%, elementaries were 39%, and middle was 13%, so there's been a slight change. And those are the financial statements for April 2022. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you. You have the pleasure of the next item.
Thank you very much.
Action item with the tentative budget approval.
Actually, I'm going to tee it up and then turn it over to Mr. Hamill, if I may. Tonight, I'm asking the school board to tentatively approve the FY23 budget proposal as presented in your budget notebooks tonight. Once again, this is a tentative approval. The board will be asked to vote for final approval on June 21st. Last month, Mr. Young, our deputy superintendent, presented the strategic plan to the board, which you guys unanimously adopted. And part of the strategic planning, as we talked to our community, one of the biggest concerns moving forward was the retention and recruitment of staff to Forsyth County schools. We know we have to remain regionally competitive. I believe this budget proposal does that for our school system. We had a lot of data that was shared last week. I just want to hit some of the highlights to make sure we're clear. The budget proposal includes a minimum of a $2,650 increase for all certified staff, so a minimum of $2,650 for all certified staff. It also includes a step increase for staff members who are eligible for that. So for some of our certified staff, we're looking at about a $4,000 increase in their salary next year. This proposal also includes a minimum of a $2,000 increase and 1% cost of living adjustment on the salary schedule for all classified staff. So again, $2,000 increase and 1% COLA on the salary schedule for all classified staff. All full-time employees in Forsyth County Schools, if this budget passes, at minimum will make $15 an hour with an attractive benefit package as well. Substitute teacher pay, which we heard a lot about last year, we are proposing to increase that pay to $120 per day for non-certified and $145 per day for certified subs. Currently, we pay $85 a day. This, again, makes us more regionally competitive with districts around us. Again, $120 a day for non-certified and $145 per day for certified subs. $12,950,000 has been reserved for a one-time supplement for all regular employees. The amount and date of this one-time supplement will be determined during the 22-23 school year. We have not set aside an amount or a date for that supplement for our employees, but $12,950,000 have been reserved for that in this budget proposal. $33 million has been reserved to reduce the debt service millage rate from the current 2.418 to 1.418 mils. So 1 mil reduction in our debt service millage rate if this budget is passed as proposed. And again, we set aside $33 million to make that happen. The operations and maintenance millage rate will remain at 17.3 mils for the 8th consecutive year if this budget is approved. If you do give tentative approval tonight, there's still about a month for board members to come in and ask clarifying questions, to talk to stakeholders about our budget proposal, and to come back and make any adjustments if necessary prior to the final vote on June 21st. So I just want to be clear to our public, there's several steps in this process. Tonight, again, is a tentative approval. Then we will have budget hearings and millage rate hearings during the month of June. where the public has the opportunity to come forward and express their opinion to the school board. And then again, you will not vote on final approval until June 21st. So I wanted to make that clear. So I'm going to now turn it over to Larry to walk you through this massive budget notebook in front of you. So go ahead.
Yes, and if you need to fall asleep, I guarantee after 5 minutes, you will be out. No, I'm not. No, this is for you to have fun, like I said, in case you need something to sleep with. But otherwise, we'll do the abbreviated version here on the slides. So tonight, we're going to present the 2023 initial budget presentation. The May 10th date on there was the workshop date we had last week. We presented it. A few changes have been made since that date, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So just to look at some of the highlights, and Dr. Bearden pretty much hit most of them, but one of the things we do want to point out is the student body is expected to be over 54,000 students this year, which will make us the 5th largest school system in the state of Georgia. But if you think about that, even with us being the 5th largest school system in the state of Georgia, of the 12 largest school systems in the state of Georgia, we have the lowest per pupil cost for FTE based on the 2021 data we submitted to the state of Georgia, and that's $9,803. Just to give you a comparison, APS, which is now, I think, the 6th largest school system, and they have less students than us, their budget was just approved, or their tentative budget was just approved the other night at $1.4 billion, just to give you an idea. They're spending over $20,000 per student almost with that budget. And so the other thing that Dr. Bearden said is we receive a 5-star efficiency rating. We are the only school system that has received that since that started. The last 2 years, the state of Georgia decided not to issue the star rating because of the pandemic and because of all the CARE Act money that was flowing everywhere. But if we had that star rating issued, I don't see no reason we would not have received that 5-star rating, which means we'd have been 8-9 years into the process. Any questions? All right, so let's just talk about the budget itself compared 22 to 23. So our local revenue for this year's budget, based on the data we received from the state of Georgia, the tax commissioner's office, and what we looked at in terms of what the local revenue will look like, we are asking, or we are saying that we think the total revenues will be about almost $590 million over last year's 508. Now, the thing about last year's budget, 508, is there was austerity cuts in that budget, and there also was not the teacher raise that year like it is this year. If we look at the expenditures, you can see we're predicting a budget of about $579 million versus 520, for a difference of about $59 million. Last year's budget had a deficit built into it, and mostly because of the austerity cuts that was put into the budget that year, versus this year, which we're predicting about $10.8 million excessive revenues over expenditures. The increase in the expense side of the budget is about 11.32%. The revenue increase is about 15.91%. Most of that's been driven by the extra money we receive in QBE revenue and also the ad valorem tax increase due to the increase of home values that have gone on for the last 2 years, including the last 5 years as well, which the last Wall Street Journal article I just read said that the home prices in Atlanta are up 59% in the last 5 years and up 24% just in the last 24 months, just to give you an idea. The current beginning balance, from the beginning of this year, is $99.8 million. We're predicting to add $22 million of that to that balance at the end of this fiscal year. We're going to estimate about $122 million fund balance. We'll add the 10.8 to that. We're going to back up 2 reserves, the $33 million for debt service that Dr. Bearden talked about, as well as the 12.95 for the future supplement. That will leave us an estimated fund balance at the end of 23 of about $86.8 million, or 15% of fund balance. And the 15% fund balance calculation is the amount of estimated fund balance divided into the total expenditures that we have budgeted. So just to talk a little bit more about the expenditures by function level, when we talk function levels, if you look on the far left side going down, you'll see 1,000 instruction. Those are the different levels that the state of Georgia categorizes that we have to set up for budgets. So you have 1,000 through 5,100, that's instruction through debt service. You can see the breakdown percentage of those based on this budget, 72% instruction, down to 0.41% for debt service. You'll see the 23 salaries and benefit breakdown of about $512 million. as well as the 23 operation breakdown of about $67 million. That's the total of 578.9 compared to last year. You can see the 58 point, almost $9 million increase, 11.32% change. The biggest change of this budget this year compared to last year is the last line, 5,100. The last 2 years, we had some money left over in our public revenue bond that was put out there to build the, thank you, the, I just went blank again, Jeff, I'm sorry. I'm sorry? Yes, not the lines, it was the parking deck, right?
Yeah, the parking lot, and those all part of
Right,
it.
right, I'm sorry. I wasn't here when that was done, so I forget about sometimes. We have to include that in the budget this year because the amount of money we had left from that was gone, so it has to be paid out of local funds. This year's salary and benefit breakdown versus operation is 88.4 versus 11.6. It's almost in par what it was last year. This is just a pie chart to kind of give you a visual of what everything looks like. As you can see, instruction is a large Pac-Man type device here in terms of how much it gobbles up the budget. It's 72%. And then we just want to show you how much salary and benefits makes up that pie chart as well at 88.4%. Any questions on those slides? All right, so we're going to jump into the salary and benefit changes that are part of this budget. The budget itself has about $50.2 million in salary and benefit additions to the budget. That's about 272 positions at school-based for about $22.5 million. It's about 12 positions at non-school-based for about 1.2. That's a total of 284 positions at 23.7 million. Also included is $15.3 million for the new pay scales that Dr. Bearden had talked about, as well as the 1% COLA. The step increase that Dr. Bearden had talked about is going to be about $5 million. The benefit increases to TRS going up, as well as these new positions, is about another $6 million. That's a total of $26.4 million for a total of the 50.1. Any questions? Just to give you a better breakdown of what the revenue looks like that we saw on the first slide, as you can see here, we have it broken down between local revenue and the state and federal revenue. At the state and federal revenue side, the majority of that money will be the QB formula, which last year was about $241 million, and this year is about $269, for a difference of about 28. A large percentage of that is going to be the money we received for the teacher raises. The other state sources went up a little bit. Indirect costs and the flood control pretty much stay stable from year to year. Then at the top, you can see our ad valorem tax at 17.3 mils at a 99% collection rate will be about 47.8 million more than it was last year. That's due to the large increase in the tax digest because of the reassessment of homes in the county. Our TVA tax is going to go up by 4.5. What happens there is as cars come off of our ad valorem tax schedule and more cars are bought brand new, there's more TVA tax collected as it goes along. So we see less money collected there and more money collected on the actual sale of new cars. That's why that's going up every year. Intangible tax is dropping a little bit. We're not sure why. We think it has to do a lot with people slowing down because of the economy. The real estate transfer tax is going to go up a little bit because the cost of homes are going up, so the amount of taxes collected has gone up. Interest income, we have to go back and relook at that. Right now we have it at 100,000, but I believe that number is probably going to go up once we do some additional calculations on the projected rate increases we might see down the road the next year. Private contributions, we don't have that anymore. That's gone. Other local revenue is going to go up a little bit, and our surplus sales gone up a little bit because we have a lot more obsolete items that are coming off our list, like old computers and desks that we're able to sell better than we have in the past. And those two items together make up the $589 million budget for revenue. At the bottom there, you can see a breakdown of the formulas, how we came up with the amount for the net available revenue for ad valorem tax. As you can see, it's a $20 billion gross digest minus a $3.5 billion exemption for a total of $16.6 billion digest at 17.3. That creates a gross revenue of $286.5 minus the commission fee that is charged by the tax commissioner's office for a net of $279. Now, the collection rate has been above 99%. We're sticking with a 99% collection rate. That should give us about $276.5. The QB formula, the money we've been allocated is about $264 million. Usually we have midterm collections. Midterm earnings are where we have growth from the beginning of school year to the end. and the state of Georgia usually gives you money to make up for that growth. We're projecting that to be $6 million for a total of $270 million. Any questions? Yes, sir. Ma'am.
So if I'm reading this correctly, and sometimes I take one number and try to compare it to another number on the sheet, but so basically, the local revenue, you're saying 47.8 million more than last year
For the ad valorem tax.
for the ad valorem
Correct.
tax, right? And then 33 million we're putting into reducing the debt millage rate, right?
Right. Some of that 33 million is coming from the fund balance from previous years. That's
Right.
all not coming from this number there.
Okay.
Okay. This is just another pie chart to kind of give you another visual of how much state money we get versus local. Right now, we're receiving about 46% from the state, and about 53, almost 54% from local funds. The millage rate history, going back to 2000, as you can see, right now, we're proposing 17.3 mills for M&O and 1.418 for the bond. Last time the mill was this low was back in 2014 when it was opposite. It was 16.3 for M&O and 2.418 for bond. Back to the thing we were talking about earlier, where we were talking about the cost per FTE. As you can see, Forsyth County is the lowest cost county in the state of Georgia when it comes to the 12 largest school systems. And if you look down at the bottom, like Atlanta Public Schools, like I said, they had less students than us, not quite that much less, but at that point, when the budget was coming out in 21, it was 18.4. Based on the budget information I just heard about Atlanta Public Schools, that's probably going to put them over $20,000 per student by the end of 23. School food services. Right now, school food services is planned to have about $15.8 million in fund balance into this year. We have built into that budget about $3.6 million excessive expenditures over revenues. The majority of that is due to two things. One, food costs have gone up. We're projecting about a 10 to 11% increase in food costs. So if you look down there, you can see between the 22 budget line and 23, food costs are going from about 6.1 to almost $7.6 million. The other large increase is going to be for the workers and the benefits. School nutrition people went from $11.90 to $15.15 on average for all the beginning school workers. That's going to increase their budget dramatically. It's almost a $5 million $5 million increase for that alone. Those two items, because they're such large increases. And right now, we're making an estimate on what our federal input's going to be because they haven't officially come out and told us. Right now, we're predicting about a $3.6 million excessive expenditures of revenue, which will bring down the balance at the end of 6/30/2023 by $12.2 million. And based on future revenue and stuff, that number probably will go down lower, the balance, as well as we try to balance out the revenue and expenditures over the next couple of years. Any questions? Debt service. This debt service presentation takes in consideration that the millage will be only 1.418. As you can see, the revenue is going to come in about 24.6. That number usually is larger with the additional mill. Our principal, interest, and agent fees for this coming year is about $62.7 million. That's going to leave us about $38 million excessive expenditures over revenue. The last a bit of SPLOST 5 money that was promised under the SPLOST 5 referendum, about $3.1 million, will be transferred in that year. That would reduce that net change in fund balance to a negative $35 million. Currently, our fund balance is about 51.5. That will leave us 16.5. That $33 million that we're going to reserve out for the general fund debt service will be used probably starting with 24 school year to help augment that 16.5 for future payments. Any questions? Other budgets. So 2 presentations here. First one is special revenue funds. I'll get to that in a second. The second one is capital projects. The local source there and the state sources are 2 distinct things. The local sources will be the SPLOST 6 collection money that we predict for next year. The state sources are capital outlay money that are left to be collected on the existing buildings that we're finishing up now, as well as money that we'll get for Midway. You see the transfer out that was going to debt service there. That will leave us with $59 million. We're predicting about $80 million in projects. That would be a $20 million drop in fund balance. Fund balance should drop from about $114 million down to about $93.5 at the end of '23. The special revenue fund column includes the school nutrition column information we had just seen recently, or 2 slides before, as well as all your federal funds, which would be like Title I, Title II, Title III, Sped Ed, and et cetera. As you can see, if you go down to the special revenue column under expenditures, you'll see the $25 million we just talked about for school food services expenditures. And the local sources and the federal sources includes part of that money for school nutrition as well. And as you see down here at the bottom, the excess expenditures or revenue ties back to school nutrition, because the way that federal programs work, whatever you spend is what you collect. You can't spend more than you've been promised by the state of Georgia or the federal government for expenditures that year. So you're allowed to spend up to that amount. And typically when you spend the money, you draw down what you spend. So that usually zeroes itself out each year. The beginning fund balance down there, the 15.8, that's all school nutrition fund balance. And the ending fund balance there is 12.2. That's all school nutrition as well. Any questions? That is in a quick synopsis, the 23 initial fund balance, initial budget for next year. Any other questions?
I have a recommended approval to approve the FY23 tentative budget.
Is there a motion to approve the fiscal '23 tentative budget?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Cleveland. Second by Ms. Light. Is there discussion?
Yeah, I would say the one thing I didn't hear yet, but I'm very well aware of, is we're raising, the cost of instruction has gone up. People see that and they always wonder, well, why? But we're opening a new school and we've grown students. So we grow almost a school a year, if not more. So we're opening basically 2 schools and having to staff those. So that's a lot of that cost.
Correct. And as we watch our enrollment from October until March of this year, that 6 months was the largest growth we've had in years. So folks are continuing to move to Forsyth County, so we anticipate that growth for the foreseeable future.
I think that one is I want to say thank you to Mr. Hamill for his professionalism and expertise on this budget. I know it's not easy, and I know that we all have our own questions and understandings and expectations when it comes to the budget, so I want to thank you for that. I know that for me, when we started this conversation several months ago, we knew that there was going to be a large assessment value increase this year. And so to me, it's always been about balancing between the quality of life for our staff who have worked hard every single day for our school system and our citizens. And I think that last week when we presented this, there was a really good balance, a balance on both sides. I think that reducing the debt millage rate by 1 point is going to help right around what you say, about 5% of the increase, the tax assessment increase. Is that?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So somewhere about 5%. So I think that's great. I think that the pay steps, the pay scales, the COLA, and the supplement that we're working for are really, really good. I think that the staff deserve that, and we as a board deserve to give that to them. I do have a little bit of hesitation and concern with the sustainability of the increase. And I think that the sustainability in the increase, especially when it comes to the new positions. I know that you have 284 new positions in this budget. It's right around $23.8 million. And those positions are just going to roll over into the next budget. And we acquire those positions. So now we're going to have to, the next year, add more COLA, more step increases. And so now what's that sustainability look like when we have an unstable economy? And at that point, you're going to have a budget that's going to go well into the $600 million because of this. And I think that this, looking back to the balance of quality life of staff and citizens, and spending the entire week looking at this, I think we can look at maybe opportunities to help both the staff and citizens a little bit more by looking at the increase. And that's just my opinion. I think that we're looking at that, and this is a tentative budget, so we have some time to look at that. But I think that the need and where we're at of supporting our local community and our staff that we have that have worked really hard over the last couple of years and been with us, there might be some opportunity to do a little bit more there. And so I probably am not going to, vote for the tentative budget. And hopefully we can work over that.
Well, I just want to address the sustainability piece for a moment, because we have fielded this question from staff members since we presented this budget last week, because they see all around us school systems not only have the governor's $2,000 increase for teachers, but they're adding historic increases in cost of living, as many as 6, 7, 8% all around us. And so employees have been asking, why aren't we looking at the same in Forsyth County? And the answer has been the sustainability piece that you brought up. That's why when Larry and I put this budget proposal together, we did earmark that $12,950,000 for a one-time supplement. We believe, not knowing exactly how much that will mean for each employee in our school system yet, that helps us remain regionally competitive. And it does address the sustainability piece because it's a one-time supplement, not built into the cost of living, because you're right, Mr. McCall, once you build it into the cost of living, then you have the sustainability question over a period of years. The other answer I would have about is this sustainable, once again, our budget includes a 15% fund balance. That really does protect us in the short term. If we do have an economic downturn and we are looking at less funding from the state, we can dip into that fund balance for 1 or 2 years in order to make our staff whole and not get into reduction in force and things like that. So again, I believe the budget we presented takes all those things, all those factors into consideration. But it's a great point about the sustainability. And again, that's why we did not put that additional $13 million into a cost of living adjustment. We could have made that recommendation, but we didn't intentionally because we were concerned about the sustainability.
Understanding too that there's talks being done about certain things like the buses having maybe reducing fees for field trips or something like, so there's still discussions about how to use the money in order to maybe not because I don't want to just get backed into a corner where I'm so thankful we can reduce the 1 point on the debt
service.
Debt service, and I've been trying to figure out or not me figure out because I'm not a budget expert, but how to reduce the M&O too. And I just don't want to get backed into a corner where we are in a situation, since the economy is so
Wishy-washy?
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is. It's just,
I don't even know what to call it.
yeah, it's just, I don't even know.
Pre-recession?
Do what?
Pre-recession?
Yeah, but it's just crazy, so to being able to reduce what we are reducing, I'm very thankful for that. And I'm hopeful that in the future, next year, we can continue to have conversations about continuing to reduce that if we are in a position. But I just want, to be able to have the solvency to be able to perform at a whole level, the level that we're on now, and continue to remain successful. And I don't mean, put more money into it. I just mean, be able to use the positions that we have and the support that we have to pour into the kids.
And at the risk of being redundant, and I know Larry said this and we've said it a couple of times, but you look at the historical budgets that we have passed in our school system, and let's look at metrics that are apples to apples comparison. You said one of them earlier. We're one of the largest systems in Georgia. Of the 12 largest, we have the lowest per pupil cost using the latest data. That metric needs to be taken into consideration. The only system to receive 5 out of 5 stars for financial efficiency every year that rating's been used. Use that metric. We have a AAA bond rating. Last time I looked, we're one of only 20 school systems in the entire nation with a AAA bond rating. They don't give that away unless you have financial efficiency and you have a history of financial efficiency. And again, holding our operating and maintenance millage rate at 17.3 for 8 consecutive years is noteworthy. So I think we have a really strong history of being fiscally very conservative, yet at the same time, our students performing at the very highest level. So that's why I'm proud of the budget we presented.
Tom
You
and
didn't
I,
really mention the millage rate at the other comparative counties is usually at the max.
Which is 20.
Which is 20%.
and
So
Tom and I were here for the last recession, and we know how you can get in trouble so easily. So I'm all for appreciating our teachers. I think it's been a rough 2 years with the pandemic, and I think they deserve everything we can give them. I think this budget is looking after our teachers some, and I feel like that we are making sure that if we do go into another recession like we did before, that we'll be able to weather that with minimum damage. So I think it's a good job. Thank you, and thank you for meeting with Lindsay and I talk about having to get it down to a kindergarten level. He was looking at us like, really? But I appreciate all your patience.
Thank you.
I think that the per pupil will significantly increase with this budget.
As will every other school system around us. As you look at what's going on, I shared with some of you today, Gwinnett County is looking at a $400 million increase in their budget. Fulton County, 180-something million. Cobb County, 200 million. All of their per pupil costs are going up. I would still project we will be the lowest of the 12 largest systems in Georgia, even if this passes.
If you divide it out, we're spending $23.42
Yeah, if you wanna-
a child a day. I mean, that's a pretty good education.
It depends on your tax bill, but I just use that as an example. I looked at my own property tax bill and what I pay for education, and it's $23. And if I had a child in Forsyth County Schools, 178 days, they go to school, it would cost me on my tax bill $23.42 per day for my child to get an education in Forsyth County Schools.
Which has the highest graduation rate, the highest SAT scores. the highest
SAT scores, every metric.
Another metric, sir.
Well, I think the other thing we have to balance is that we are not receiving a lot of federal funding like the other counties around us that are being able to pour all of that in there. And I think that comes back to one of my concerns is how sustainable are these positions moving forward? And is there a way we can give back to our teachers and balance it out better than to inherit $23 million worth of personnel? And so I think that's something we'll have to discuss because that's what I feel. I think there's opportunity there to balance it out for.
You make a great point. I think it's worth restating. The CARES Act funding, districts around us received so much more than we did because it was based on poverty levels. And they have used those funds to increase salaries dramatically. But the bottom line is that's who we're competing with. That's who we're competing with in the market right now for teaching jobs, transportation jobs, administrative jobs. That's who we're competing with. And if we don't stay competitive, we're going to have a real issue here in terms of attracting new folks and retention rates.
Well, and to that point, I think, part of the goal after the new strategic plan was that recruitment retainment. And I think, not only internally do you see that as something that's your goal, but the community saw it. Because they know, if we can't recruit and retain, we're not going to continue to get the best of the best. So I definitely think pouring that in there. But, I'm hopefully excited or interested to see if anyone comes up with any other possibilities at how we can, lower, debt and give back to the community. But as far as how I see it in this budget, I appreciate the thought and the planning that has gone into it. And I have also seen the changes that have been made, along the way from community input and then, just internal problem solving. So I think it's been a good team effort so far.
Yeah, we could have easily spent that debt millage in other ways and kept it, because it's still very low compared to other counties. But we are one of the fastest growing counties, and that's where you see that. we've grown, I was looking at my metrics here. I keep fairly simple metrics. And I look at total cost against the total local income versus divided by the number of students we have. And it's very low. And I don't like the state number that we used in the presentation. It has a lot of adds and subtracts. And I'm like, no, we spent money. We have a number of students. How much have I spent? And so I've kept that very simple metric since 2005. And I do not see it going up very much. Because of our student growth, and I can easily see, like Darla said, we were here in 2008 when that recession came, when changes happened, the real estate market went crazy. And I can see that we tightened our belt, that M&O stayed very level for those couple of years, and then we started growing. And we were growing during that time, but slower. And then as we started growing again, where the income comes in because of the growth, and we spend it for the extra teachers and staff that we have to support that growth. So the way I look at it, we've been very good stewards of what we've been given. And in the case of money, when I got on the board, it was interesting to watch how we owe money. At home, we owe it on credit cards, line of credits, mortgages. In the school system, we have to get bonds. We have to sell them on the market. We have to have a good efficiency rating to do that. And because we've done very good with that over the years, the money we owe is starting to decrease. And because of the growth, it's now starting to advantage us through SPLOST. The SPLOST is now picking up its weight and helping us pay for that debt and the growth that we have. So we're slowly seeing that change, and that's why we're able to do this with that debt millage. And so for me, it's really a good place to start seeing the amount we owe decrease. That's always good. Maintaining the same quality, in fact, increasing quality, because like you say, we never stand still. We always move forward or backwards. So in this case, I think we're moving forward, and we're doing it in an efficient way.
All right. Any more discussion? All right. All in favor? 3. And all opposed? 1. And Miss Morrissey is absent from the vote. Miss Morrissey's daughter is graduating this year, and so they have some events tonight to honor her daughter, and so that's where she's at tonight. All right.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
Larry, for all your work.
The next item on our list is points of information. Are there any points of information?
Nothing to add tonight.
Okay. Does anybody need a short recess, would like to leave before we go into public participation? If not, we will go right into public participation. So the next item on our agenda is public participation. We have 6 residents signed up to speak this evening. We greatly appreciate each one of you for taking the time to speak with us this evening. Before we begin, I want to highlight 6 sections of our public participation policy. Meetings of the Board of Education are held to conduct the affairs and business of the school system. Although these meetings are not meetings of the public is invited to attend all meetings, and citizens are invited to address the board at all regular meetings. All remarks shall be made to the board as a body and addressed through the chair. Remarks shall not be addressed to individual board members. Personnel issues involving individual employees, issues involving individual students, and pending litigation are not subject for public participation. Speakers are asked to keep their remarks profane, rude, and defamatory remarks and personal attacks will not be allowed. The chairman of the board is responsible for enforcing this policy, and speakers who are found in violation will have their allotted speaking time immediately concluded. By reading and acknowledging the acceptance prior to speaking during public participation, speakers attest that they understood and will abide by this policy. Failure to abide by this policy may result in forfeit of the right to participate in future board meetings. The word of tonight is respect. All respect and audience members must be respectful. This is a business meeting. Speakers must follow the public participation policy. Audience members may not clap, make noise, or speak from their seats. Ms. Abbott will take will keep time with 3 minutes per speaker. She will raise the yellow card when the 30 seconds are left and a red card when the time is up. Again, our words and our actions must be respectful. At this time, our first speaker is Mr. Jerry Kerschel.
Thank you. For the past few board meetings, several speakers promoted systemic Islamophobia, pushing for explicit sexual content in our school libraries. In Islam, such explicit sexual content is haram, forbidden. Homosexuality is also haram, punishable by death under Sharia law, or requiring forced hormonal and surgical conversion therapy for both gays and lesbians. Diversity, inclusion, and equity obligate us to combat this Islamophobia, making sure the depictions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and other haram topics, such as explicit sexual content or the glorification of immoral sexuality, are kept out of our school libraries. The attempts of white liberals to push their sexual agenda in our schools is an offense to Allah and all the POC Muslims who follow him. It is a crass exercise of woke white privilege. Now, personally, I'm a fairly extreme liberal atheist, but I understand that even though I might be fine with my children being exposed to graphic content, I can't make that choice for other parents, and neither should our schools. We need to make sure that our shared government schools are places that respect the wide diversity of viewpoints our community has, including conservative Islamic viewpoints. I might be willing to draw a picture of the Prophet Muhammad and post it on a website, but it would be wrong of me to insist that our government schools provide picture books with the Prophet's likeness. Ultimately, our teachers and administrators work for the parents of our community, and the students are given, in trust, to be educated in a manner that is consistent with the family values of each individual family. Even though conservative parents might be eager to see the best-selling LGBTQ children's book, Johnny the Walrus, as part of our elementary school curriculum, those parents who have decided to put their children through hormonal and surgical conversion therapy may find this book offensive to their worldview, since it depicts gender transition as abuse disguised by compassion. As messy and imperfect as government schools are, we can only support diversity if we're willing to compromise with each other towards consensus. Curriculum and books need to strive for the most bland and neutral point of view, erring on the side of caution. As much as I love Mark Twain, I understand that some people are so sensitive to the N-word that they would censor Twain's classic anti-racist works. As much as I may appreciate Charlie Hebdo, I understand that cartoons of Muhammad would be offensive to our POC Muslim families. For those families that would like to have ideological content for their children, which are otherwise banned from school libraries in the name of consensus, there's always Amazon.com or public libraries or the entire internet. No child is ever going to be prevented from consuming books their parents want them to read. And no parent should be afraid that their child can pick up a book from their school library that they can't read out loud at a Board of Education meeting. I'd like to ask the board to commit to developing an opt-in program for adding books to our school libraries and to have books reviewed by both liberal and conservative parents before they are placed in our libraries. We should be exerting local control over our libraries rather than simply getting book lists from partisan, ideological, and biased national institutions. Thank you again for your time, and if anybody disagrees with me, I'd love to have lunch with them.
Thank you. All right, our next speaker is Susan Case.
Hello, my name is Susan Case. I am a 2020 graduate from Forsyth Central High School. I am currently in UNG for my bachelor's in history education. I have wanted to teach since I was 16 years old because of Coach Jackson at Central. I love teenagers and I love history, and I thought that it would be a perfect career path for me. Unfortunately, some potential decisions by the school board have changed this. Teachers are under attack. We cannot teach real history because of misconceptions of topics that are being taught in our schools, like CRT, which is not. We are being told what material we cannot use, even if they are primary sources. This is discouraging. This makes us not want to teach because we can't. We just want some respect for our profession. Teachers are undervalued, teachers are underpaid, and we are not respected by the parents of the students that we put all of our time and effort into ensuring their educations. That is all that we ask for, is respect and to be acknowledged by the people that we work for and the futures that we work towards. Let teachers teach. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sawyer Kovacs.
Hello.
Hello.
By the way, Sandy, I hope that your retirement is amazing. So I want to bring up that these are some dark times. The United States is reversing 50 years of progressive legislation. Roe v. Wade is likely to be overturned, which is a move that will significantly increase poverty and death rates among the United States. And Samuel Justice Alito has said that women do not have the right to control their bodies. Your body, my choice. So House Bill 1084 was recently signed as well, which prevents it whitewashes the entirety of Black history. Senate's Bill 226 bans books considered harmful to minors, which includes racial history, sexual identity, and religion. And as far-right politics continue to corrupt our government system, we must take action against this tyranny. The time to sit idly by is no longer past. And so I would understand if we lived in China or Russia or any other autocratic dictatorship, but this is America. Congress does not have the right to restrict our freedoms of speech, deny us our own bodies, nor tell us who we can and cannot be. We are losing our freedom, and we need to take action and fight for it. This is a historical moment right here, right now, in this room, in Forsyth County especially. Our names may not be remembered by history, but the actions we take and the moves we make will be immortalized. If you're a student, bring banned books to class and learn the true history of all people. If you are a teacher, I thank you and pray for you. If you're a cute girl, give me your number. And to all Americans, know who you're voting for and vote in every election and write to your elected officials. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Betty Woomer.
I guess I need the glasses. As a 30-year teacher of literature, humanities, and composition in Chattanooga high schools, and as Forsyth County grandparent, I come to you to give a teacher's perspective on banned books. I chose books for their literary excellence, their universal themes, and cultural relevance. Books that dealt with choices, encourage critical thinking skills, an open class discussion, and family discussions. Without knowledge of the diversity of cultures, different ways of thinking, and living in the world, how can students make choices about their own values? I have taught thousands of teenagers, and they struggle with forming their own opinions and values. They are not living in the world in which we grew up. Their experiences and influences are sometimes quite different. But the universal values of truth, dignity, and empathy are timeless. Books that deal with today's world are sometimes banned because people are upset with language and themes. They use opposition to language to disguise or ignore themes with which they disagree. The real world is not like many of our sheltered students think they are. History is often not taught as it really was. We didn't learn it as it really was. The realities, as written as a survivor of something like the Holocaust, or as a young Vietnam soldier, or as an ex-slave, are often raw and have horrifying situations. But we must not deny them the truth. I have extended family that deals with racism, my Black granddaughter, Abby, gender identity, autism, and learning development problems. These people have the right to be represented in literature. To ignore them is to dehumanize them. Teachers and administration and all school staff work with parents as a team to produce adults that will make good choices, have good character, and be assets to their community. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Shivi Mehta. So, Mrs. DePata.
So I know that a lot of people here are speaking about book bans, but I'm not going to touch on that because I feel like you would rather listen to a group of parents who are being led by a person using scare tactics over students and teachers. So I'm going to be telling you about a personal experience. My grandma is here visiting from India, and she's getting used to everything here, but one of the first questions she asked me was where my bottu is. Bottu, which is one of its names, is a small dot worn by Hindus on our foreheads. You might have heard about it, and it signifies the third eye and wisdom and is an important part of my culture. My mom brushed off her question, saying, "Oh, she's a teenager now, she's different," and I nodded my head just to get out of the conversation. But I've been thinking about that moment, and the truth is, it's not because I'm a teenager and I'm rebelling or whatever, but I've stopped wearing it because I went through what a lot of culturally diverse students go through, an inner battle with identity. I remember the last day I wore my bottu to school. I was rushing out the door that morning, trying to get to the bus, but I remember to walk back in and put it on, and somehow I managed to make it back in time for my bus. And the school day was normal, and I was in my second to last class for the day, waiting for the late bell to ring, when a group of students I was passing made uncomfortable comments about my bottu, calling it weird and laughing about it to each other. I could hear them whispering hurtful words such as cow worshiper. And this isn't the first time I've heard these things said about my bottu, but it was the day I decided I don't want to deal with the microaggressions and racism anymore. And instead of being able to be proud of my culture, I shoved a part of it away. A lot of students of color feel like we need to lose parts of our culture to fit in, or that we need to hide it when not at home. And even though these might sound like small concerns to you, it creates a hostile environment at school unless you do something about it. We, as students, are not asking you to end racism. We're asking you to improve teacher DEI training so teachers are aware of what they say and the impacts that can have on a child, so that they can call out students for saying something wrong. Our education has become so politicized, but please start focusing on students. Thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes our public participation for this evening. I want to thank everybody for respecting the rules, and we appreciate your time tonight. So that's the last item on the agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn? So moved by Ms. Light, second by Ms. Adams. All in favor?